Morning. What is it? I was going to go for a walk, but it's a wet morning. Uh, Got up at 5, but yeah. Happy Tuesday. What is it? 20th August. Um, I just forgot to mention. And I just want to pay my respect to um, the Gimoy, Wallabara, Yidinji people of the Cairns and surrounding areas. I just want to pay my respect to them for where I'm doing my programs on, and just want to respect the lands as we do coming from culture. And I also want to acknowledge my Zenith Kes, Torres Strait Island family. Just St. Paul's, Mo Island, you know, Mabiog, um, Yam Island, Gebar, and to do all those communities, which I am a part of. Um, this video today, I just want to focus on um, why I'm doing this. Um, I have ADHD, anxiety, and depression, which all come together. Um, I've lived it for a while. I still have it. Years I went through my life, just going through life with it, and a lot of fear and doubt, um, and just hiding a lot of it because you'd see the funny side of me, but deep inside when I come down or when I go home or be alone, it's always there. Um, it's like a mask I use to hide it, and we all do that. Um, so people who have or who don't know that they have um, ADHD, anxiety, depression, um, yeah, just go and if you think you have, just go and seek help. Go to specialists. Go to the medical center, health center, or local GP, and just mention. Um, and people think like when you're young, oh, that kid has ADHD, but it's not about being hyper. It's about your mind. Like I have trouble focusing. That's part of the ADHD. Like I'll think of one thing. I'm here busy doing one thing, and 2 minutes later, I'm doing something else, and then it's your mind just bounces. You're to and fro. You just can't sit still. So I've always had that through my childhood, and it's I think been misunderstood as a child. So back in the 70s, 80s, how they disciplined back in the day. It wasn't nice, but and they just didn't. Our parents or even society didn't understand ADHD and anxiety back in the day. So um, it's good that we get to understand ourselves today, and I'm doing these programs now to from the knowledge that I've kept during my observation of myself. Um, it was tough, but I'm glad I took the time to go and understand myself. Um, it's been a revelation. Um, it's something for me to like I've accomplished. It's probably the biggest accomplishment I had. Just to find myself and who I really am. Um, so after when I was a child. Also, before we before we enter this, I just want to warn people like um, I'll be just going through, just describing my childhood, and it may not be safe for people. So if you're not feeling safe, just just walk away. And yeah, but I just I'm just wanting to share my insights with my childhood from a young age, with depression and anxiety. Um, yeah, I'll start by saying when I used to go to school, like I just couldn't focus. I couldn't sit still in class. I couldn't concentrate. Like I knew what I was there to learn, but I just my mind couldn't sit. So anything that distracted me, it took me away from learning, and I was really a distraction to the other students because I I I was like I ended up being a class clown. I just I just couldn't um, I couldn't join in with the lesson. Looking back, I wish I did, but I just couldn't. That was the anxiety ADHD. That was the focus. The focus is the main thing. So when you have this ADHD, you think it's about being hyper, but it's that. But it's also your focus. You can't do um, multiple things. Like you can't sit and listen to someone. There's always a distraction that comes straight to your head. It's you have no control over it. It's your mind, and it's how you yeah. And then you just go and get carried away. Um, yeah, so I knew I couldn't focus. So what I'd do is I'd always tell the teacher, "Oh, I just want to go to the toilet." But it wasn't a toilet. I just wanted to get out of the classroom. And people with ADHD and learning in the classroom it's not the place to learn. And now there are many options, but back in the day, you just can't learn with your with that disability. So I'd go wandering around the classroom, distracting other kids in the classroom, waving. Um, yeah, easily distracted. You just can't. Like if a bird passes by, you just make things up in your head. Um, but yeah, got caning most of my childhood through to high school and the end of high school. Um, yeah, I had the cane. Yeah, so for those who don't know, the young generation, when you get in trouble at school in the 70s, 80s, 90s, you got a cane on your palm. You got hit by your principal or your deputy principal, and that was how school was back in the day. So now to so when I got the cane, I had to go home because I had brothers, um, sisters. They would tell dad. They'd tell dad, and and you get a double dose of discipline. And yeah, the headmaster was nothing compared to dad. Tell you that. But so when I used to be physically punished, yeah, I used to go in my room and I used to beat myself in the head straight after. I always ask, like, why me? Why? Why did I get hit for? So it went throughout my adulthood as well. That self beat did self harm to my skin, um, and they would just it was just me, trying to understand, the pain the pain is, the pain on your skin, the pain to self. Why are you always getting disciplined and punished? And I was just like, maybe like 9, 10, 11 years old, all that. And, being disciplined, punished. And as a kid, as a child, 5, 6, 7, yeah, it wasn't a nice time, but that's part of the journey. So just to share with you, just part of my dark secrets. So I hope you respect that, and I hope you understand me better, because people just assume that just because I'm single, yeah, they assume, a lot of people assume things, but they don't understand the struggles, like the small things we can't. I don't drive because I know I just can't focus. But in a bush I'll drive, but in a built-up city, in a big built-up city area, there's too much going around, and your mind's racing as well. So yeah, so just wanted to share that with you. And I did self-infliction. Another way, I used to look in the mirror and punch myself and cuss. I just stood there and just down myself. Swore at myself, telling that I was useless, I was an idiot. There was a lot of F-bombs there, so yeah, so sometimes I'd even go to school and I'd walk home with lumps on my head. I'd feel, I'd go to school like, oh man, that was good. That's a good one. But it's yeah, when you're in that space of self-infliction, you just can't. You just like, yeah, it's a tough space, but there's a way out. There's a way out, and I found a way out, and I got help. I sought counseling. Yeah, just got the tools. I put myself in there um, to work on myself, and it's hard living in communities like remote communities where the only guidance you'll get, not guidance, but the only there are a lot of churches, and they do help. Um, they do help spiritually, but I'm not sure the mental aspect. It the mental resilience and coaching, I feel, needs to come from people who actually won that battle, and that's why I want to. That's why this business has been created. And there were times where suicide's always on your mind, and that why me, pity, feeling sorry for myself, just that self pity. It's and that why me, it really corrupts your mind, corrupts your whole body, your emotions. It keeps you down in your depression, and I understand people who go through depression. I know fully well where that space is. Been there a long time, really long time, and yeah, and ended up finding a partner after school, and that wasn't nice. Took us through hell. Still battling myself, but you know, I just I'm just glad that I actually found who I really am and who I was, and started working on myself. And she was such a great support, um, mentally, but I because of my focus, I just couldn't I just couldn't keep. She'd always say, because I ended up being a possessive and jealous person, um, and there's reasons for that, which I'll go into my when I talk about domestic violence. I was a perpetrator, but I'll leave all that story for that. But she always tells me, if I wasn't with you, I'd be with someone else, and but trying to mentally control yourself and your emotions is very hard when you're in a dark space and a recent space too. Because I met her when I was young, so um, yeah, just my anger, which was a big part of anxiety, and screaming into pillows, just just trying to get all your negative energy out, and um, yeah, but you know, saying all that, I stopped cussing myself in the mirror, um, doing the punching, you know, while looking at my reflection. But I got help. I sought counselling with Uniting Care. Um, yeah, they really. One of the workers, yeah, she's no longer with them. But yeah, she gave me tools, and yeah, it really helped me to find myself. Um, really find myself. So then I went on a journey when I was in, because I wanted to be, because the depression went to the stage where I just wanted to be homeless. That's how far it got. So hope was hanging on a string. Like, there's no such thing as hope, because once you're in that space, you're just trapped. So once you have the tools, or stop and think to yourself, I have to do something different to get out of this, the way I'm feeling. So with counseling, yeah, I sought help, and I went through a lot of homeless shelters within Cairns. Not many people know, but I was couch surfing. I just didn't want to be a burden, and it may be part of the anxiety. You just don't want to be a burden to anyone, and so when I was in the shelters, I started to observe everybody, and then I started to have those questions about myself. So I'd be partnered up with, or just have a chat with anyone, and I just ask them, how did you get here? What's your story? So I started to ask, like, people those sort of deep questions, and they were really open about it. And some of the things I heard, from what I went through, was nothing compared what they've gone through. And you have to understand, when people are damaged and to the point of no return, they're the people who are on the streets, head down, like they had to come from a bad place. And even in childhood, it's really important to be careful of how you grow up your kids, especially around discipline and even verbal discipline. Um, name calling and all that. It's degrading as well. But yeah, so I asked questions, and then I sort of took a back seat and just went for the ride. So I ended up having enough time um, to really focus on why I was the way I was. And I remember there's a room 5 in uh, men's Oz care in the city, room 5 is where I started that journey. And yeah, no, that was like, there was a light bulb. There was like, there was a light at the end of the tunnel now. So, and then I started grabbing onto hope. There was a way out. So I tried to figure a way out, and it started up here. And just going back to all the learned things that I've learned, and who, understand, like, they're the things I learned from someone else, and it's someone else's depression, or so I'm glad I said I'm privileged to know who I am. So, but yeah, it can happen. If you put if you go back, which is hard, but you go back and pick up the pieces and understand why this and why that, and then you get help by getting counseling, and you will understand everything clear. And so I started to heal myself, accept what happened. And I didn't I used to blame my dad, and for years. But you know how that saying, you point the finger but there's three pointing back at you. So but now I understand why the three were pointing back at me, because of my anxiety and depression, ADHD, just my focus. But yeah, I got the help, and started thinking positive, started to let go of the bad habits that were attached to emotions. Um, First one was, the first thing I was to love myself. So I always go in the mirror and love myself, because I was taught tools to. So I don't go to the mirror now. So, you know, if you do mirrors, get away from it. Don't do mirrors anymore. If you self-inflict, yeah, you know, you don't have to self-inflict. You just go and find help. You just reach out, share your story, because now we're in an age where people are more or less inclined to listen, and because of the mental health message, and how big mental health is within the world now, we're starting to understand. Yeah, so I started watching Dr. Gabo Mate, Dr. Gabo Mate. Yeah, he on YouTube started to look into, like, if you want to YouTube your symptoms, go ahead, because that's how I did it, and ended up with Dr. Gabo. Yeah, he speaks, and there's a lot of people on YouTube who can help. Um, and yeah, so there is there is there is help out there. So and once you do go down that stage of wanting to find who you really are, it becomes yeah, it's just a beautiful place, and you become more yeah, it's just, I haven't been depressed for a while, because I got no reason to be depressed. So I taught myself how to gave myself tools to block out the negative stuff. Like, I knew pokies, being a poker machine addict, and that was a place of, you know, as all addictions, you go somewhere to hide, somewhere to forget about why you have depression and anxiety, and you have addictions. So yeah, the poker machines really tied me down to the machine. I was chained to the machine. So yeah, the depression and the anxiety. Once I gave that up, it was the best thing. Gambling, oh man, but people do it for the reasons. But people said, nah, and he spent $50. No, you don't. No, you don't. But yeah, so those sort of things, and I knew what was attached to gambling. Um, you know, waking up with no money, and your emotions, you're empty. Excuse me, you're empty, and you stay empty. But that's another um, discussion I'll have on a separate video. But yeah, just with the anxiety, and I finally found myself, and now I'm in a space where I'm wanting to share my knowledge of how I got out, and just the tools that I've learnt from others. It's such a beautiful place now, and for those who didn't know, wanted to drown myself, shallow, sorry, shallow bathroom, those sort of things. I grew up with all those self-inflicting things and depression. So I was depressed when I was a kid, and not sure if I was born with it, or I'm sure I know I am. I know I'm born with it. Maybe it's hereditary. Who knows? And maybe Dad went through the same thing. So, those are the questions you need to, when you start looking, those are the questions. Whether Dad had it, or whether Dad was severely punished. And would be back in the day, because discipline started really rough. And I come from warriors. I come from headhunters. So yeah, it's just a couple of generations from it. So, and with the society we have today, it's it's a different, evolution has got us to this point. And yeah, it's really confusing time in history, I guess, with everything, like social media and phones. It's like your ADHD. You wanting to search everything. It's ADHD. That's what we go through in our minds without the phone. Yeah. Don't steal that one. That's mine. Yeah. So I just wanted to this video about my anxiety, and yeah, and my attachment with anxiety, alcohol. That's another video. So yeah, hope you have a good day today, and be sure to love yourself. If you're battling, just love yourself. It's okay. Things will get better, but you got to put in the effort to see a brighter day. Yeah. So love yous and leave yous. Thank you. That's all.